Hey Iowa fans, Jon Miller here. Shortly or briefly rather after or soon after, Iowa beat Northern Iowa 17-16. What a crazy ending that was. We'll probably never see anything like it in our lives, and I hope that we never do again because we didn't need that level of a scare this early in the season. And getting ready to do sound off, so here's some quick thoughts that I had instantly after the game. I still really don't know how to feel about this. I do think that if Iowa goes on to have a good season, that's 8 or 9 wins, we'll look back on this game as maybe something that the hardest steel is born out of the hottest flames. I've heard that before. This is a game where Iowa had to mentally get into it later in the game, and they did. The offense, everything looked lethargic early on. I thought that could be a possibility. I didn't expect that to really extend into the game. And if Iowa goes on to have a good season, you can look back on this and say, hey, that really got their minds into it earlier than maybe they would have had to had they won the game 42-7 like I predicted, which was a horrible prediction for this game. Or Iowa doesn't have the season that everyone expects them to have, and this was basically the harbinger of things to come. Northern Iowa's offensive line is probably the 3rd or 4th best offensive line Iowa's going to play all season. The Iowa defensive line did a great job for the majority of this game, but depth is going to be an issue, especially when we have these warmer temperatures in September. I think Christian Ballard looked really good through 3 quarters, as did Broderick Binns. Adrian Clayborg was a force all day. Binns had some cramping issues. The last few drives, Iowa's defense was tired. You've seen it before. It's a bend-don't-break type system. It was a bend-don't-break type of day for the University of Iowa. Some people are going to come out and make harsh judgments one way or the other on this, and I would recommend you not do that because everything's still incomplete, although I do think that Adam Robinson from Des Moines Lincoln is your running back, at least for right now, until Jeff Brinson can get back in there in the mix. I don't think Paki O'Meara is a starting running back in the Big Ten. I never did. With all due respect to Paki, he's a great teammate. He can do a lot of things, as Kirk Ferentz says, but he's not exceptional at any of those things. Robinson clearly quicker in the hole. Next week, when Kyle Callaway comes back to start at right tackle, I don't know who's going to play left guard, but it's not going to be Adam Geddes. He is coming on as a young player, but this is not his time, not when there are better players ahead of him. He will move out of the starting lineup. I don't have any doubts about that. And Julian Vandervelde in a few weeks will be in. That's Iowa's 2nd and 3rd best offensive lineman that did not play in this game. Of course, Jewel Hampton could certainly be used this year, but oh well. Northern Iowa is going to do well this year, I believe, but they too were without some playmakers. They lost their best wide receiver earlier this season to an ACL. Their top running back on paper coming into the season was out, but the top running back is the Anderson kid. He's going to be their big threat all year long. He's a very, very solid player. And Pat Grace is one of the most experienced quarterbacks Iowa's going to face all season long. So it's Bring on the Clones next week. I'll have more thoughts on HawkeyeNation.com throughout the week. Again, this is just hitting me early, and I'm not yet collected my thoughts from Iowa's game. Stanzi in the first half looked bad. He looked very bad. He looked a lot like how Austin Arnaud looked in the first half of Iowa State's game earlier this week. Guys that were just a little bit too up. Because in the second half, Stanzi looked great. Stanzi looked very good at that point in time. And Iowa's receivers, Paul Chaney, what a great game for him to have for confidence the rest of the year to stay plugged in, something he's had some trouble doing mentally at his time in Iowa. That's it for now. We'll talk more with you down the line.